Hello, you're watching The Market Bull. I'm Sarah Powell, and joining me today is Alastair Clayton, Chairman from Metals One, to discuss the company's Råna Project in Norway that has recently shown massive high-grade nickel sulphide copper cobalt mineralisation. Alastair, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Good morning, Sarah. Thanks for having us on the show.
We last spoke with your company's CEO, Jonathan Owen, which was following the company's successful admission to the London Stock Exchange. We've not yet spoken, so by way of introduction, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been involved in the mining industry for the last 30 years. You can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from Australia. As we were discussing off camera, very much got married up in Yorkshire, and basically I guess I've been involved in a couple of companies. I'm not a serial mining entrepreneur. I've been involved in investment companies, but probably the companies that some of your listeners might identify. I was represented Kalahari Minerals on the board of the main company Extract Resources, which I still think was AIM's second largest ever cash takeover back in 2012 for our Husab uranium project in Namibia, and subsequent to that, helped set up a company, Universal Coal, which went from exploration through to dividend payer, and that was bought out in 2018 for $400 million. And subsequent to that, just looking for great projects in grown-up jurisdictions, which is why I'm speaking to you today.
Thanks, Alastair. It's great to hear about your background. So the latest RNS demonstrates that work has been progressing well since the IPO. Can you talk us through what steps the company took to identify the drill targets for the current diamond drilling activity at the SRH Råna Project? And tell us, what is this work entailing?
Yeah, sure. Look, just taking a step back, just sort of for some of your listeners that might not know Metals One, we were obviously one of the very few AIM listings this year. Very difficult market. We listed in early August. And look, I think that was testimony to it always is testimony to the quality of the projects. But I think what's a little bit different is the way we're structured. So Metals One as a PLC, its core assets are both funded by farm-ins from other companies. So the RNS we'll talk about this morning was generated by our partners up at Råna in Norway, King's Rose Mining. King's Rose Mining, a very cash-rich explorer. They're effectively farming into the Rånbogen project, or the Råna SRH project, we call it, and we'll spend up to $15 million to do that. So our model is, while there will be some assets we work, the majority of our expenditure, certainly over the coming couple of years, is really funded by other people, which I'm sure you appreciate is a good model in this market. Stepping back, King's Rose, probably one of the best organised exploration outfits that I've ever seen. I was up in Norway a couple of weeks ago visiting the team, and effectively what they've done is a classic go back into a previously producing area, apply modern technology and see what that delivers. And as we've seen with our announcement, it's delivering great guns in terms of sort of nickel copper mineralisation. But yeah, that's our model, Sarah, is to have farming partners spending the money and sort of create us as the mothership, for want of a better word.
Well, thank you for explaining the company model and the relationship with your partner, King's Rose. So turning to the RNS, can you tell us about the drilling results, in particular those from the Rånbogen prospect, and why it's so significant?
Look, first of all, they're great results and great numbers speak for themselves. So, I don't want to opine on them too much. I think wearing my technical hat, over and above the great headlines, I think what's really interesting is the nickel tenor in some of those intercepts, 2.5 higher percent. What that tells you, without going into a sort of thesis on magmatic sulphide deposits, is that the potential for something really of scale and a really powerful system. Okay, but given the limited time today, the whole Rånbogen intrusion, or the Råna intrusion, as it's known, is one of the largest in the world in terms of magmatic sulphide deposits. So think Voisey's Bay, think the classic nickel deposits of Canada and Australia. Why is that important? Well, nickel is thinly traded on the LME. You can source what we call dirty nickel out of Indonesia and those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, as we know, supply chains are moving and shifting. Not only security of supply, we love Norway as a country, but also the quality of supply and the way that it's generated. Is Is it clean or is it dirty? And it's pretty binary in this industry. So Rånbogen overall is a globally significant target. That's not just me saying that. The partner with Kings Rose is a program called Explore, which is BHP. So that tells you what they think of that style of project. And I think what the results have done today is the first part of the demonstration that sometimes pretty pictures on a map, pretty geophysical, modern techniques deliver tangible results. So that's why it's important. So where is the project going? Well, the reason Kings Rose is spending all the money, the reason we got our foot on the project in the first place, is we think it can be a very significant European supplier of green nickel. Hydroelectric power in the area. We're not cutting down rainforests or any of that. It's all underground. And just to remind you, this area was a producer up until 2000, okay, when it closed. So really going back in on a brownfields development.
Well, thanks for giving us an idea for the potential for this asset. 5,000 metres of drilling is a significant campaign. Can you tell us what have been some of the highlights and challenges experienced so far? Look,
there's always challenges in a program. It doesn't matter. So the site is based on the outskirts of the small city of Narvik. Location, you couldn't get better. Okay, it's the main iron ore export hub for Northern Europe. For those history buffs, Battle of Narvik, ice-free. I mean, it really couldn't be better located. It's literally on the outskirts of town, and the whole municipality is based around mining and is supportive of mining. So that's great. Look, the challenges are always about money, effectively. Fantastic targets. The great thing about these fabulous big magmatic sulphide systems is their potential to deliver world-class mines. And again, think Canada, think Voisey's Bay, think Kambalda in Australia, the ones that really made companies like BHP and Rio Tinto. And the downside is often you have to spend a lot of money exploring. They don't often reveal themselves with your first pass drilling. So that sort of leads back to why we farmed out with Kings Rose. It's going to take deep pockets, but I mean, we all hope that the first program would deliver numbers somewhere around, where the last set were. There was a set released a month ago. The current set probably has exceeded our expectations and has got everyone buzzing about, all right, we might have just jagged it in the first program. But look, that's getting us ahead of ourselves, Sarah. Our model is deep pockets, someone else spending them, delivering fabulous results, and frankly, that's what's already happened with this project.
Wonderful, thank you. Finally, in terms of timescale and seeing more results and completion of the programme, what can we be looking out for with winter now fast approaching?
Yeah, again, and as you point out, winter always affects everything. They're still drilling up at site now. There ought to be holes that will be finished, that will be in the core shed and being logged by the team, and they'll be off for assay. I would guess that the program will probably wrap up reasonably soon. Interestingly, because this is one thing we discussed with the team, in terms of access, it's still a bit of snow is not a problem. They'll probably restart typically around in March, so probably a little bit earlier than most people think. It's a breakdown rig, so it's not a problem. But look, at the end of the day, we'll have news flow dribbling into probably after Christmas. There'll be a very small hiatus and the team will be back on the ground as soon as conditions allow. But I would, from the advice I've been given by the Kings Rose team, late March, early April, not a problem.
Alastair, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll look forward to hearing more news in due course.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks so much for having me.